The first thing you need to know about suburban barbecues is that they're less about food and more about public execution. Standing there with my spatula, flipping burgers for 23 neighbors who wouldn't notice if I disappeared tomorrow, I watched my wife Alyssa hold court like some discount Martha Stewart. "Dave's so low maintenance," she announced to the crowd, wine glass number 3 sloshing dangerously close to my grill. "Like a lawnmower you never have to oil." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The laughter that followed felt like nails on a chalkboard. I kept flipping burgers, my jaw clenched so tight I could crack walnuts. 38 years old, and here I was getting roasted at my own barbecue by the woman who promised to love and honor me 12 years ago. "Maybe we should trade husbands for the night," Alyssa continued, gesturing wildly. "Like wife swap, but backwards." Linda Martinez, our divorced neighbor, perked up from her lawn chair. "I'll take him. Dave actually knows how to cook." The crowd erupted. Tom Brennan, my supposed best friend, nearly choked on his beer laughing. Even Becky Walsh, Alyssa's gossipy sidekick, was giggling behind her hand. But it was Brad Fenton's smirk that really got under my skin. The real estate hotshot leaning against my fence post, red Corvette gleaming in my driveway like a middle-aged crisis on wheels. "Well," I said, loud enough to cut through the chatter, "someone already took you up on that offer, right, honey?" The laughter faded. Alyssa's face went pale, then flushed red. "Dave, what are you—" "Oh, come on," I continued, setting down my spatula with deliberate calm. "Everyone here knows about your late nights with Brad, all those real estate emergencies that happen after midnight. You could hear a pin drop. Jasmine Rodriguez, our neighborhood's unofficial gossip coordinator, had her phone out faster than a gunslinger. Tom's mouth hung open like a broken mailbox. Even the kids playing in the yard had gone quiet. Brad pushed off from the fence. "Hey now, Dave." "Hey now, nothing." I pulled off my apron and tossed it on the grill. "Since we're apparently not a couple anymore, should I start packing, or do you want to show Brad where I keep the spare key?" Alyssa's wine glass hit the deck with a crash. "You're being ridiculous." "Am I? Because from where I'm standing, the only ridiculous thing is me pretending this marriage isn't already over." I looked around at the stunned faces. "Enjoy the burgers, folks. They're about as done as I am." The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Then Alyssa turned and stormed into the house, slamming the sliding door so hard the frame rattled. The party scattered like roaches when the lights come on. The house felt like a tomb after everyone left. I sat in my kitchen, surrounded by dirty paper plates and the lingering smell of charcoal, while Alyssa paced the living room like a caged tiger. "It was a joke, Dave. A stupid joke. 12 years of marriage, and now I'm a punchline." I crumpled another beer can. "How long, Alyssa?" "How long what?" "Don't play dumb. How long have you been screwing Brad?" She stopped pacing. For a moment, I thought she might actually tell the truth. Then her face hardened into that familiar mask of righteous indignation. "You're paranoid and drunk." "I'm a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them." I stood up, suddenly exhausted. "Pack your bags, Alyssa. You wanted someone else? You've got him. Enjoy the maintenance. You can't just kick me out of my own house. Watch me." The next morning, I changed the locks. Not illegal. House was in my name, bought before we married. I also changed the passwords on our joint accounts, transferred half the money to a new account, and left her clothes in neat piles on the front porch. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Tom showed up around noon, looking sheepish. "Dude, what the hell happened last night?" "You tell me. You were laughing pretty hard at your buddy getting humiliated." "Come on, man. We were just having fun." "Fun." I tested the word like it was poison. "You know what would be fun, Tom? If you got in your truck and drove away before I decided our friendship is as over as my marriage." He left without another word. Linda came by that evening with a casserole and a bottle of whiskey. "Figured you might need both?" "Thanks." I let her in, grateful for someone who didn't look at me like I'd grown a second head. "For what it's worth," she said, settling on my couch. "Everyone knew except you. I should have said something sooner." "How long? 6 months, maybe more? Brad's not exactly subtle with that car of his." 6 months. Half a year of coming home to a wife who was already somewhere else in her head. Half a year of being the neighborhood joke. "Dave?" Linda's voice was gentle. "What are you going to do?" I poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed her one. "I'm going to make them both very, very sorry they ever met me." Linda's kitchen became our headquarters. Turns out, a divorced woman with time on her hands and a grudge against cheaters makes an excellent partner in crime. We spread out like generals planning a campaign, notebooks full of Brad's schedule, copies of his real estate listings, and a growing file of neighborhood gossip courtesy of Jasmine. "He's got an open house this Sunday," Linda said, sliding a flyer across the table. "Big Colonial on Maple Street. His biggest listing this year." "Perfect," I made a note. "What about Alyssa?" "Staying at the Marriott downtown. Becky's been visiting her every day, bringing updates from the office." Linda grinned wickedly. "Apparently HR is asking questions about her relationship with a client." "Brad's a client?" "His company uses her firm for all their HR needs. Conflict of interest doesn't begin to cover it." I felt a savage satisfaction bloom in my chest. This keeps getting better. "There's more." Jasmine appeared in the doorway, phone in hand as always. "I may have accidentally forwarded some interesting photos to a few people." She showed us her screen. Brad and Alyssa in a passionate embrace outside the Marriott, date-stamped 2 nights ago. The image quality was surprisingly good for a long-distance shot. "Accidentally?" Linda laughed. My finger slipped, multiple times, to multiple contacts. "You're evil," I told her. "I like that in a person." We spent the next hour planning what Linda dubbed Operation Homewrecker. Phase 1 was simple. Make Brad's life as publicly uncomfortable as possible. Phase 2 would target Alyssa's professional reputation. Phase 3? Well, we'd figure that out when we got there. "What about Tom and the others?" Linda asked. "They treated you like garbage at that barbecue." "They'll get theirs," I promised. "But first, let's focus on the main targets." Sunday morning, I put Phase 1 into action. Brad's precious Corvette sat in his driveway like a red beacon of middle-aged desperation. A little sugar in the gas tank wouldn't destroy the engine, but it would make the car stall and reek like a garbage fire. I left a note under his windshield. "Low maintenance, high impact. Have a great day, Dave." 2 hours later, Brad's car broke down in the middle of Main Street during the church rush. Half the town watched him get towed, the engine smoking like a barbecue pit. My phone buzzed with updates from Jasmine, who'd positioned herself at the coffee shop across the street. "He's screaming at the tow truck driver," she texted. "This is better than cable." That evening, I made my second move. O'Malley's Pub was Brad's regular hangout, where he liked to brag about his sales numbers and hit on the younger bartenders. I showed up at happy hour, ordered a beer, and waited. "Dave." Rick Morrison, one of Brad's golf buddies, waved me over. "Heard about you and Alyssa. Tough break, man." "Actually, it's been liberating," I said, loud enough for half the bar to hear. "Turns out my wife's been test driving Brad Fenton for months. You'd think a realtor would know how to close a door, right?" The bar erupted in laughter. Rick's eyes went wide. "Seriously?" "Absolutely serious. Caught them at the Marriott Thursday night. Got pictures and everything." I pulled out my phone, showed him Jasmine's photos. "Brad's married too, you know. Wonder if Sharon knows where her husband's been parking his car." By the time Brad walked in 20 minutes later, the entire bar was buzzing with the story. He took one look at the pointing fingers and knowing smirks, turned around, and walked right back out. I raised my beer in a mock toast to his retreating figure. "To new beginnings," I called out. The bar cheered. Linda decided we needed a block party. "Nothing brings out the truth like a neighborhood gathering," she said, already making calls. "Besides, it's time these people picked a side." Saturday afternoon, Elm Street transformed into a festival of folding chairs, card tables, and enough gossip to power a small city. I manned the grill again, this time with Linda as my co-pilot and Jasmine documenting everything for posterity. "Look who decided to show up," Linda muttered. Alyssa walked down the street like she was attending her own execution. She'd clearly been crying. Her makeup couldn't quite hide the red eyes and blotchy skin. Behind her, looking equally uncomfortable, came Brad and Tom. "This should be interesting," I said, flipping a burger with unnecessary force. Becky rushed over to Alyssa, whispering urgently in her ear. Whatever she said made Alyssa's face crumble further. Tom hovered near the edge of the crowd, clearly wanting to be anywhere else. Brad tried to swagger, but his usual confidence was missing. "Dave." Tom approached the grill like he was approaching a wild animal. "Can we talk?" "We're talking now." "I mean, privately." "Nah, I'm good with public. Seems to be the theme lately." I gestured with my spatula toward Alyssa, who was trying to make conversation with our neighbor Jerry. "Your girlfriend's looking rough, Tom." "She's not my... What are you talking about?" "Oh, didn't you know? Becky's been keeping Brad company too. Apparently cheating on my wife wasn't enough for him. Had to cheat on his mistress with her best friend." Tom's face went white. "That's not... You're lying. Ask Jasmine. She's got photos of everything." Jasmine appeared at my elbow, phone ready. Want to see? They were at the Olive Garden Tuesday night. Very cozy. Tom stared at the photos, his face cycling through confusion, anger, and hurt. But Becky said she was helping Alyssa. She was helping, all right. Helping herself to your buddy Brad. The color drained from Tom's face. He looked over at Becky, who was still whispering to Alyssa, then at Brad, who was trying to charm Linda and failing miserably. That son of a jerk, Tom whispered. Now you're getting it. Tom walked away without another word, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. Linda caught my eye and grinned. Sometimes the truth was the best weapon of all. The party was in full swing when Sharon Fenton arrived. I hadn't seen Brad's wife in months, but she looked good, tan, fit, and absolutely furious. She marched straight to her husband, who was holding court near the beer cooler. "Having fun, honey?" she asked sweetly. Brad's face went through several interesting color changes. "Sharon, I didn't know you were coming." "I'll bet you didn't." She smiled like a shark. "Jasmine called me, showed me some very interesting pictures." The party went quiet. Even the kids stopped playing to watch the show. "I can explain," Brad started. "Oh, I'm sure you can. You always were good with words." Sharon reached into her purse and pulled out a thick envelope. "Divorce papers. Already filed. I'm taking the house, the boat, and half your business." She threw the envelope at his chest, then turned to Alyssa. "And you, sweetheart. You're welcome to him. But I'd get tested if I were you. He's been busy." The crowd gasped. Alyssa's face went from pale to green in record time. "Becky can tell you all about it," Sharon continued. "They've been quite the pair lately." Becky made a strangled noise and tried to disappear behind Jerry. Tom stepped forward, his face dark with rage. "Is it true?" he demanded. Becky's silence was answer enough. Tom turned to Brad, fists clenched. "You piece of garbage. My girlfriend. Really?" "Tom, let me explain." Tom's punch caught Brad square in the nose. Brad went down hard, red liquid streaming down his face. The crowd erupted in chaos. Some cheering, some screaming, everyone with their phones out recording. "Stop!" Alyssa rushed forward, kneeling beside Brad. "Someone call 911. "For what?" I asked mildly. "A broken nose? He'll live." Alyssa looked up at me, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "How can you be so cruel?" "Cruel?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Honey, I haven't even started." The police came and went, taking statements and warning everyone to keep their hands to themselves. Tom was lucky Brad didn't press charges, probably because he didn't want more attention on his extracurricular activities. After the cops left, the real fun began. I'd been saving my best ammunition for last. While everyone was distracted by the fight, Linda had set up a laptop and projector on Jerry's card table. Now we had everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced, "I'd like to share some highlights from the past few months." The screen lit up with a slideshow that would make a divorce lawyer weep with joy. Photos of Brad and Alyssa at restaurants, hotels, and parked cars. Text messages discussing their meetings and mocking me behind my back. Credit card receipts for romantic dinners charged to accounts I'd been paying for. But the crown jewel was a video Jasmine had captured 3 weeks ago. Alyssa and Brad in his Corvette outside our house, making out like teenagers while I was at work. "This was taken while I was fixing the Hendersons' roof," I narrated. 16-hour day, came home exhausted, and my loving wife made me dinner and asked about my day. Real touching, right? Alyssa was sobbing now, her hands covering her face. Brad sat on the ground, red liquid still dripping from his nose, looking like he wanted to crawl into a hole. But wait, there's more. I clicked to the next slide. Here's Brad with Becky at the Marriott. Same room, different night, and here's Becky with Tom at his birthday party swearing she'd never cheat on him. Tom made a sound like a wounded animal. Becky tried to run, but Linda blocked her path. "Where are you going, honey? The show's not over." The final slide was a group photo from last year's neighborhood barbecue. All of us smiling, arms around each other, looking like the picture of suburban happiness. "Funny how things change," I said, closing the laptop. "A year ago, these people were my friends. My wife, my life. Tonight, they're just strangers who happen to live nearby." The crowd was silent. Even the kids had stopped making noise. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued, my voice carrying across the street. "Brad, you're going to find a new neighborhood. Your reputation here is shot, your business is tanking, and I'm pretty sure Sharon's lawyer is going to make your life very expensive." Brad struggled to his feet, wiping red liquid from his face. "You can't make me leave?" "Actually, I can. See, I know things about your business practices that the state licensing board would find very interesting. That house on Oak Street you sold last month, the one with the foundation problems you forgot to disclose. Yeah, I have photos of that too. Brad's face went white. You're bluffing. Try me. He looked around at the hostile faces surrounding him, then at Alyssa, who was still crying into her hands. This isn't over, he muttered. Yeah, it is. Brad limped toward his damaged Corvette, which was still leaking fluids from my morning's sabotage. He got about 10 feet before the engine stopped completely. The crowd laughed as he got out and started walking, his expensive shoes clicking on the asphalt like a funeral march. What about me? Alyssa asked, finally looking up. What about you? You made your choice. Live with it. Dave, please. We can work this out. Work what out? The part where you humiliated me in front of our friends? The part where you cheated on me for 6 months? Or the part where you called me low maintenance like I was a piece of lawn equipment? She didn't have an answer for that. I'll make this simple, I said. You have until tomorrow night to get your stuff out of the house. After that, anything left behind goes to charity. The divorce papers will be ready Monday morning. You can't just throw away 12 years of marriage. I'm not throwing it away. You already did that. The crowd began to disperse, everyone eager to spread the news to anyone who'd missed the show. Tom walked past without a word, his face a mask of hurt and rage. Becky tried to follow him, but he shook her off. Tom, wait, let me explain. Explain what? That you're a lying whore? I figured that out myself. She slapped him. He laughed bitterly and kept walking. As the street emptied, Linda helped me pack up the grill. Feel better? Getting there. I watched Alyssa trudge toward her car, shoulders shaking with sobs. Think I went too far? Honey, after what they put you through, you showed remarkable restraint. Jasmine appeared beside us, phone still recording. This is going to be legendary. I've already got 57 comments on Facebook. Just remember, I told her, I never asked you to take those photos. Of course not. I'm just a concerned neighbor documenting suspicious activity. We shared a look of perfect understanding. The next evening I sat on my front porch with a beer, watching Alyssa load the last of her belongings into a U-Haul truck. She'd brought 2 friends I didn't recognize. Probably smart, since none of her local friends were speaking to her anymore. She walked up to the porch when she was finished, looking older than her 36 years. I'm sorry, she said quietly, for all of it. I know you are. Sorry you got caught. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. Alyssa, you spent 6 months screwing another man while I worked my ass off to keep us afloat. You humiliated me at my own barbecue in front of people I thought were friends. You called me low maintenance like I was something you picked up at a garage sale. What part of this has been fair? She didn't answer. For what it's worth, I continued, I hope you figure out what you're looking for. But you won't find it with Brad. He's already moved on to his next conquest. How do you know? Because men like Brad don't change. They just find new victims. She walked away without another word. I watched the U-Haul disappear around the corner, taking 12 years of my life with it. Linda came over an hour later with takeout Chinese and a bottle of wine. How are you holding up? Honestly, better than I expected. I opened the wine and poured 2 glasses. It's quiet without her. Good quiet or bad quiet? Good, definitely good. We ate in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over Elm Street. The neighborhood felt different now, smaller maybe, but cleaner, like a wound that was finally healing. So, what's next? Linda asked. I don't know. Work, I guess. Fix some things around the house, maybe take that vacation I've been putting off for 10 years. Alone? I looked at her. Really looked. Linda Martinez, 43 years old. Divorced 3 years ago when she caught her husband with his secretary. Smart, funny, and apparently willing to help a neighbor wage war against cheating spouses. Maybe not alone, I said. She smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. 6 months later, Brad Fenton's real estate license was revoked after a state investigation into his business practices. Turns out, that foundation issue on Oak Street was just the tip of the iceberg. He left town owing money to half the contractors in the county. Alyssa lost her job when the HR investigation revealed she'd been using company resources to facilitate her affair. Last I heard, she was working retail in another state, still trying to figure out what went wrong with her life. Tom and Becky broke up the night of the block party. He's dating a teacher from across town now, seems happy. Becky moved in with her sister and keeps a low profile. As for me, I'm doing just fine. The house is quieter, cleaner, and completely mine. Business is booming. Turns out being the guy who exposed the neighborhood's biggest cheating scandal is great for word-of-mouth advertising. And Linda? Well, Linda makes excellent company. Sometimes I think about that barbecue, about the moment everything changed, about how one stupid joke exposed 12 years of lies and set me free. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I prefer mine hot off the grill, with a side of public humiliation and a crowd of witnesses. Alyssa was right about one thing. I am low maintenance. But high impact? That's something she never saw coming.